keep his hands down.
One of the things I'm sure that people would criticize about Lewis Howard is that his attack is a little bit one-dimensional. The jab, an occasional straight right hand, doesn't really have a hook to speak of, and certainly has not gone to the body very well in this match. Well, there was a left uppercut from Lewis Howard, that is.
That's right. Louis, huh? You would almost think that Santana would just throw caution to the wind and just say, this man can't hurt me, I'm just going to pour in.
Well, I think the key thing is if he would throw 2 jabs and then come in and throw the overhand right, I mean, I would at least take a shot at that. There it is. And that was set up by a jab. I mean, the stinging jab of Howard is a good one, and so that's keeping Luis Santana off. Oh, nice move by Howard getting off those ropes.
Now, the jab doesn't have a whole lot of snap, but it's there. There was a right hand, a left behind it by Santana. Tries to roughhouse Howard into the ropes.
Well, Luis Santana is just so far off with his punches. He's getting some in, but it's just not. His accuracy is much worse than it's been in other fights.
So we come down now toward the end of the 7th round with just about 10 seconds left in it. Not a bad round for Santana. He gets Howard on the ropes again. End of the 7th round and a flurry by Luis Santana. Luis Santana picked it up a little bit in that last round. Last round was fought at Santana's pace and not at Howard's pace, and I think, Al, to my recollection, that's the first round in the fight that has been.
Because I think Howard was more stationary, and Santana was able to. And Santana also used his jab to get inside a little bit more than he had been before.
A little bit of blood showing now. Can't quite tell where it is. It looks like it's up on the eyebrow, the left eye of Santana. Howard got a quick combination in.
Now, this is about the time in the fight when I think they wanted Lewis Howard to go to work on Santana a little bit more. And we're seeing evidence of that here in the 8th round.
And that cut could wind up being some problem because it is above the eye, and the blood could flow into the eye.
Well, now Howard is dropping the right hand in behind the jab. He only did that occasionally before. You could just feel that this was about the time in the fight when they wanted to go after him, and boy, he came right out here in the 8th round to do just that.
And he continues to work on that cut. It is over the left eye toward the bridge of the nose.
See, there's the right. Now, that was the missing ingredient before, but maybe in a sense by design. They just wanted to get Santana into these middle and late rounds and feel like they could really go to work on him.
And you can see Santana pawing at that eye. I don't think there's any question, Albert, that it's troubling him. Santana has to feel a sense of urgency here. It's the 8th round. He's cut. It's not a serious cut yet, but it is the kind of cut that can become so.
And he's lost most rounds in this fight, and is certainly losing this 8th round convincingly. We talked a lot about conditioning before because it has been a question with Santana and might be coming into play very much right now.
Howard working on that cut very well.
Good left underneath by Howard. Now Lewis Howard is going to the body very well, and some tape is loose on Luis Santana's glove.
Now there you can see the cut. It seems to be above the brow, so if it is, that wouldn't be as troublesome as if it were under the brow on the eyelid. You just touched on it, Al, but that was an excellent body shot with the left hand that really seemed to slow Luis Santana perceptibly for a moment.
Well, now Lewis Howard is mixing his attack a lot better. I talked about it maybe being a little one-dimensional earlier. So Lewis Howard that we saw in this 8th round is the kind I think they would want to see all the time.
good body shot with the right hand that time by Howard as we come down to the end of the 8th round. And we're going to take you into the corner of Luis Santana, and let's see what the urgency is here as they look at the cut over the eye. Doesn't seem to be a great deal of urgency.
Okay. Don't put any more water after that. I got to work. Mira, lo mandaron a que te fregara con la cortada. Le estás haciendo caso y te estás poniendo atención. Yo puedo
now for Jimmy Montoya, he's been through this with Luis Santana before. Lots of cuts, lots of bruises, and lots of tough fights like this.
And you can see that cut is above the eyebrow, so that would not cause him, I wouldn't think, as much problem.
A peek at the keys to victory to see which man has executed his plan right. Santana did not start fast, certainly has never cut off the ring. Howard did get the jab going, and to a great extent has used lateral movement. Maybe the third thing which would follow that, getting that right hand home, he's doing that now as well. Here's Howard again using the jab, which exacerbates the cut and, of course, also keeps scoring points for him.
This is the 9th round, and you have to think that in Lewis Howard's corner, they said, do what you've been doing, because you've been doing it pretty well.
That last round, that 8th round for Lewis Howard, the best round he's boxed in this match, and purely from the standpoint of marketability, it's the kind of rounds you want from your boxer, but you want them all the time, or as much as you can get them.
But he was a well-coached fighter.
Yes.
He really did what he had to do, responded to his corner between rounds. And now your scorecard starting to be lopsided.
Yeah, it's got Howard ahead by 5 points, and he is taking control of this bout. The power of Santana is certainly still there, but right now Luis is on the receiving end from Howard.
And again, the crowd here in St. Louis starting to respond a little bit as we come down toward the end of this NABF Welterweight Championship fight. We're in round number 9, scheduled for 12. Combination again by Howard as he came with the right hand behind the jab.
And less interested in the movement now. Lewis Howard's setting down on his punches a little bit more, because he's got to be careful, because we talk about that overhand right of Santana still being dangerous.
Could also be a fighter who might feel that he's taken Santana's best punch. Just starting to get a little bit more confident.
Yeah, but that would be dangerous, I
was going to say.
In this instance, because a guy like Santana is always dangerous.
There was a good right hand by Howard, in close.
Now Santana keeps wailing away. This is actually what they don't want from Howard right now. This is about the worst thing he could do.
Took a left hand from Santana, but it didn't do any damage. Now he takes another, right behind it. And you know in Howard's corner between rounds, they are going to tell him, jab, hold, get out of there.
I mean, he can throw his power shots from outside the straight right. But this is certainly not where he wants to be.
On the ropes where he had spun off in previous rounds, that was caught on the gloves, that right hand.
The left hand of Howard very low, and Luis Santana now senses that overhand right might get there.
Missed a wild right, and another. But Howard, right now, is fighting Santana's fight.
After a good beginning to this round. Santana going to the body now.
Howard looks like he's lost a little zip in his legs right at the moment. And again, this could be one of those rounds where the fighter just decides, I'm going to take a breather. We'll be back.
Lewis Howard, right hand that wasn't set up by the jab, but it got through to Luis Santana.
So this is the 10th round. Howard up on his bicycle right now, trying to get a little life back in his legs. Legs look a little dead at the end of that last round.
Certainly was less movement from Howard toward the end of the round, and Santana was able to make the most of it to a certain extent. And that's where he wants him, on the rope. Yeah, Lewis Howard with the jab and the straight right, that's his secret weapon here.
And Santana took a step back.
by 4 points at this point. We're into the 10th round, so in my mind, something very, very big needs to happen for Luis Santana if he is to win this fight.
That was a right hand by Santana. It was a little bit short, but again, caused by the fact that Howard continues to drop his left hand. He hasn't dropped again right now.
Well, he's had it very low in this match. Howard less comfortable now moving. You can just feel that he's moving a lot slower.
Definitely. And just short with the right hand again is Santana. And again, the tape of Luis Santana's glove causes a momentary stoppage.
For Luis Howard, it's been a 4-year odyssey to get to this point since he turned pro in 1984. And I asked him if it seemed like a long time, some would say, and he said, well, I needed that time to get mature and get to the point where I could really feel comfortable fighting as a pro. I don't know, based upon this performance, if you can say Luis Howard belongs in the upper echelon of welterweight. In a sense, you should be able to say it because he's beating a man in Santana who has fought the best in the welterweight division. But it's really hard to assess.
Yeah, almost, without really criticizing him, he almost seems like a unidimensional fighter. Could do one thing.
Yet there are moments, like in that 8th round, when he shows us the whole package. And the welterweight division is not as strong as it once was, so there might be a good place for Luis Howard among the contenders, assuming he would win this one.
Right hand was a little short by Howard.
It's been a better round, though, for Luis Howard than the one previous.
About 20 seconds remaining in this round. And again, the jab just keeps Santana off of him. But again, what strikes me is with Howard dropping that left hand, he can get away with it against Luis Santana on this night. But what happens when he does step up?
Well, somebody who's going to land the overhand right, which Santana normally would. But tonight he's not been accurate and he's not been real consistent with it. And, the story of his evening.
Well, Luis Santana has 2 rounds to get some business done here because Luis Howard has done what he's needed to do to win this fight. Now Santana pressing the action but swinging very wildly. Santana gets Howard on the ropes. Howard trying to fight off the ropes now.
Oh, that is dangerous territory for Luis Howard. It really is.
There was a right hand by Santana and another combination by Santana, and Howard finally gets out of it.
You could just see from that shot how close some of those big winging punches by Santana were coming. There are some boxers that can get away with that, but not too many.
And once again, Howard lapses into fighting Santana's fight. Although in this round, maybe Santana was making him do that.
The body work of Luis Santana, which has in the past been so impressive, has been absent tonight.
Howard keeps looking down like he dropped his watch.
Could be that mat is a little slippery, too.
Actually, I think it is. And I've seen his pivot foot, his rear foot slip on a couple of occasions. That could be very dangerous. In fact, between rounds, there are about half a dozen people in the ring with towels wiping up the mat. But toward the end of the fight here, and under the lights, fighters perspiring heavily, and of course, the mat gets wet all over again. Coming down toward 1 minute left, round 11. And there was another example just of what we were talking about. Howard slipped.
And this is not a canvas. It looks like it's kind of like a rubberized mat.
And you can see on that shot right there exactly how wet this mat is. Could be really potentially dangerous. Not to mention the fact that a fighter can't really set himself to throw a punch.
Yeah, it's a liability to Luis Santana right now as much as it might be to Howard, because he needs to throw the big bombs. One time when we were in Indiana, we had a mat that was kind of curling up at the ends, and it was slipped. The whole mat was slipping and sliding all over the place. We're getting ridges in it. So maybe it's the Midwest. I don't know.
I think that might be it. Humidity makes the mat slip. What is he talking about? I have no idea, but we got about 3 seconds to think about this. We'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah, but these guys do windows. That's the question. I want to know that.
This is a boxing version of the Zamboni.
Cleaning up the ring. Oh, man. If you give those guys $12 in car fare, though, they can do a heck of a job in your house.
12th and final round. I don't think there's any question. Santana, and he knows that he's going to have to go knock Howard out. And here's the reason why.
I've got Howard ahead by 4 points, and it could be a wider margin. Oh, man, but, you know, Lewis Howard standing there, and, I mean, he's into a wild exchange with Luis Santana.
Now, I think that was a slip.
Definitely, yeah.
And that was strictly caused by what we've been talking about, and that is the wet ring.
Tough conditions. Now, we've had wet rings before, but only when it was outdoor fights. A couple of years ago, we had our anniversary show outdoors at Caesar's Palace before one of the big fights, and it rained. But here, there's no excuse. It's indoors.
Santana just trying to load up with the one that counts. He took a shot from Howard.
Luis Howard taking big chances here. He should feel he should have this fight. I guess you can never anticipate for sure, but he's now in a war with Santana. And I'll tell you, Luis Howard
looked like he got hurt a second ago, didn't he?
He's a little tired, and he's been wobbled a little bit. Santana's not exactly fresh either. Luis Howard is taking some risks here.
Definitely is. A long way to go. Over a minute left. Well, one thing, we talked about the conditioning of Santana, and he's still here.
He is. I mean, it hasn't been a great effort by him, but he's got some firepower left here in the 12th round. Big right by Howard. That's maybe the best punch of the round.
And another. And a combination, and it's Santana who is in trouble. And Howard trying to finish it in grand fashion.
And Luis Howard now kind of holding on. Wow, it's 12th round, providing us with all kinds of excitement.
Right hand by Santana, and that caught Howard.
Luis Howard was stunned.
He was, and he covers up.
Wow.
20 seconds remaining.
In a fight that was lethargic, dominated by Howard, and look at his 12th round, he's getting tattooed by Luis Santana.
10 seconds left. And a tremendous finish to a lethargic start.
Wow.
Well, a big 12th round. On both parts, both men were stung in the 12th and final round. Now, it is in the hands of the judges. We'll be back. Bernstein, we are back in St. Louis, and we are ready for the official decision. For that, here's Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the official scoring. Let's have a round of applause for both champion and challenger. It was a great fight. Here it is. Bob Watson from Michigan scores the bout 117 to 112 for Santana.
Whoa.
Dick Cole from Texas scores it 116 to 112 for Howard. And the final judge, Rich Daniels from Missouri, scores it 114 to 114. This bout is a draw, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for both fighters.
I'm astonished.
I am too. And that different fight, I guess, but it's really hard for me to imagine that two judges can see it so diametrically opposite.
Well, I don't know. I guess I just don't know where Luis Santana won all those rounds. I had him losing by about 3 points, and I guess the judges thought he did. What can I say?
Never fails, I tell you. Every time I think I've seen everything there is to see from boxing judges, I get surprised all over again.
Why was that so hard?
The better body shots at the end, if you noticed. And I slowed Luis a little bit, and I kept telling him, don't follow him, step a little to your right.
Okay.
And,
all right, we have to go, Jimmy. We're out of time. I'm sorry, but congratulations to Luis for keeping the title, even though it was a draw. Let's go back down now to Barry Tompkins.
All right, thanks very much, Al Bernstein. Another one of those nights here on Top Rank Boxing on ESPN that you just kind of scratch your head. How did this fight wind up being a draw? It's anybody's guess. One official had it 117-112 in favor of the Santana, and one official had it exactly the opposite in favor of the challenger. Well, the show has been brought to you by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you, and by Dickies, they're America's favorite.